إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يقول الله تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Indeed, all thanks is to Allah Azza wa Jal. We seek refuge in Him and we seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our own selves and the evil of our actions. For indeed, whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal has guided to Islam, no one can misguide, and whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal misguides, no one can guide. And I stand before all of you and I bear witness that there is no deity, there is no Lord, there is no Ilah, except Allah Azza wa Jal. And I stand before all of you and I bear witness openly and freely that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final messenger and the seal of all prophethood. O you who believe, be God conscious of Allah as is His due, and do not die unless you're in the state of Islam. Be God conscious of the Lord who created you from one soul, and from that soul many men and many women, and fear Allah in whose names you appeal to one another and honor family ties. Indeed, Allah is ever over you and I, an observer, a watcher. Before I begin, if you have the ability to move forward, please move forward. And this is a reminder to myself and to all of you that being on the phone during the khutbah prayer or during the khutbah Jum'ah is prohibited, so that you do not lose on your reward. Jazakumullah khair. More than 75 years. More than 75 years of ethnic cleansing. And only now, after we've seen families separated, children murdered, hospitals bombed, homes destroyed, only now, 1 year and roughly 3 weeks, is the world starting to see the bigger picture. Only now is the average American starting to ask serious questions like, how is it that I struggle with access, or I struggle with attaining health care, but we as a country have the resources to send $14 billion for ethnic cleansing? How is it that when Hurricane Helene hit Florida, that we as a country struggled to send aid to the innocent civilians within our country, to those in Florida, but we somehow have the resources to send $14 billion to support genocide? How is it that within our own country, we have people who are homeless, struggling financially, but we have somehow the capability as a country to send $14 billion overseas. Only for that average American to come and realize that this $14 billion is coming from the sweat of the American taxpayer. And I have to stand today, days prior to the presidential election, and try to be as politically correct as I can while still delivering the message. It's not easy. It's not easy. And this masjid, as you all know, is considered a non-profit organization, meaning that by law, it is not allowed to endorse any one candidate or any one party. And so, by that, I humbly request from all of you to try and listen with an open mind. As Allah Azza wa Jal, He tells us in the Quran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. That you are the best of nations raised for humanity. For humanity. You believe in Allah, you enjoin in good, you forbid that which is evil, and you believe in Allah. 3 requirements. You need all 3. You cannot have 1 out of 3. You need all 3. You believe. You enjoin in that which is good, both for your own rights and for others. And you forbid that which is evil, both against you and against others. And you believe in Allah. But it's really hard to imagine that both you and I live in a country that supports, that is the backbone against the genocide that is happening to our own brothers and sisters in Palestine. And so now when there's a chance to make a change on the small scale or the big scale, you'll find some Muslim household or some Muslims to believe that, brother, even if I really want to stop the injustice that's happening in Palestine, but I don't really believe that I can make a change. And if every single one of us, or if every household thought like that, then where would we be? But you know, brother, it's a kufr system, and this is a kufr country. Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you living in a kufr system? Why are you living in a kufr country? But you know, brother, my parents, they immigrated. I was born here. I didn't really get to choose my environment. Neither did Yusuf alayhi salam, Prophet Yusuf, when he was enslaved, taken to Egypt against his will, where he, for years, separated from his home. And years later, he is standing in front of the king saying, اجعلني على خزائن الأرض. Appoint me as treasurer of the land. This is Yusuf alayhi salam in Egypt. It's a kufr system. It's not an Islamic system. Yet here Yusuf is alayhi salam. Not only did he vote, but he's voting for himself. اجعلني على خزائن الأرض. Appoint me as treasurer of the lands. Because he believed that he can make a change. That he believed he could make a change for that which is better. And that is what was required of all of us. that when we have the power to make a change, not only is it required, it is an amana. It is a trust. It's a trust. Even if that change may be small. As the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is telling us in the authentic hadith, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. Do not belittle any good deed. What's the good deed here? يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who believe, كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. As Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Quran, O you who believe, O you who believe, stand firm for justice as witnesses for Allah. So when you stand at a protest for Palestine, when you stand at a protest against genocide, you're standing for justice. When you stand at the ballot box to circle in the name, you're standing for justice. We do our part, the result is with Allah Azza wa Jal. You are tasked with the task, but the result of the task is not part of the task. What is required of you and I is to stand for justice. Stand for justice. Enough is enough. We don't get to choose when, where, or how we want to see justice take place. We stand against injustice, but we don't get to choose when, where, or how that injustice will go away. What is required of you and I is to stand. If you have the ability to change evil with your hand, if you have the ability to vote with your hand, stand for justice. If you don't have the ability to vote, you don't have the ability to make a change with your hand, make a change with your tongue. Encourage others to go make a change. Encourage others. Stand for justice. Speak that which is true. Speak of justice. Each and every single one of us has an outreach. Someone that we can influence to go make a change. Someone that we can influence to go make a vote, to circle that name, to go stand at the ballot box. But by standing up for justice, or by not standing up for justice, we roll the red carpet for evil to take over. If we don't stand up for justice, we roll the red carpet for evil to take over. And I'll end with a quote from Martin Luther King, where he very famously says, "The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people." I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to enable us to stand up for justice. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Bismillah, wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In this very unique climate, in this very unique election, where the race is pretty tight, we as Muslims have a chance to flip the framework, to prove that the support of Zionism does not win any candidate a second term. Now you will find that the biggest threat to Muslim politics is for any candidate to win because of genocide. And you will find that the biggest threat to Zionism is for any candidate to lose because of genocide. Meaning it's not necessarily about who wins, it's about how the other party loses. That if one candidate supported genocide, then it's very easy to distinguish and go for the other party. But when both parties supporting genocide, then you will find, or the losing party will find, that I could have won had I gained the Muslim vote, had I gained or had my values aligned with that of the Muslims. It is this election that we can show our numbers. The number of Muslims who are in support of Palestine, who are in support against justice, who are not in support of injustice. And that by that, any candidate that supports Palestine and supports that cause, until it becomes clear that you cannot win a second term if you are in support of genocide. When voting for a third party, you are expressing a dissatisfaction and anger at the two other parties. And the goal of a third party is not immediate change, it is a long-term change. A long-term message and change, a long-term change and a message to the two parties that there is a sizable minority of Muslims that are angry with the current policy. And until the policy changes, you will not gain the support. And as a final point that I'd like to say, and that is in regards to within the Muslim community here at Fredericksburg and any Muslim community in the nation, that we need to be very careful with how we use our language with one another. Muslims. And we need to be careful of not falling into the trap of accusing another Muslim of betrayal or accusing another Muslim of a hypocrisy because they decided that they didn't want to vote, or they decided to vote for this candidate over that candidate. Each and every single one of us is doing what we believe is best. Hopefully what we believe is best for Palestine. And in support of justice and being not in support of injustice. This is the opinion. If you disagree, you disagree. If you agree, you agree. The main message is there. If you want to think that another Muslim is wrong for supporting a certain party or supporting a certain candidate, that's fine. But the moment you say that that Muslim has betrayed Islam or that Muslim is a hypocrite in their belief, then you've crossed the line. You've crossed the line. Anybody who says that the third party or the Republicans or the Democrats is going to be better for the cause of the Palestinians, that's their belief. That's their belief. They inherently believe that that's what's better for injustice. That's what's better for justice. Can you blame them? No. You cannot blame them. You cannot pull the religious card on political analysis, because political analysis is in itself subjective. It's subjective. There's no clear-cut answer. You think you're supporting good, that good turns out to be bad. You think you're supporting bad, that bad turns out to be good. Subjective. We have a duty to help our brothers and sisters in Gaza. And a part of that duty is to be involved in the process. Be active politically, socially, And most importantly, look back at your intentions. Look back at your intentions. Try your best to make a change. Try your best to put your best foot forward in being on the side of justice, so that you can say to Allah, I did my best. I put my best foot forward on being on the right side, on standing for justice and standing against injustice. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to enable us to be among those who stand for justice. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to show us the truth as truth and to enable us to follow that which is true. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to show us falsehood as falsehood and enable us to stay away from that which is false. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to use us to make a change for the better, and I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to not replace us. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help our brothers and sisters who are suffering in East Turkestan and Palestine and Lebanon and in Sudan and all around the world. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to alleviate their pain and suffering. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive us and have mercy on us. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept our martyrs in the highest level of paradise and to destroy their oppressors. Ibadallah, inna Allah yamuru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقم الصلاة.